Welcome to this video on how to create and print lists in Python. What we will learn are list and its characteristics, how to create lists, how to print an entire list, and how to find the number of items that are present in a list. You can learn more at our course on Python for Beginners. Let's say you want to store multiple items in a single variable. That is, I have biography, comics, horror, humor, etc., etc. All these strings, I want it to be stored in a single variable. And the name of the variable has to be book types. The option in Python to store like this is lists. An example, but let's see line by line what happens. So this is the general syntax of how to write a list. There has to be a name of a variable, followed by the assignment operator, followed by a square bracket, which is used to represent a list, followed by the list of items. As seen in our example, the name of the variable is book types. We have followed it with a assignment operator. And then within square brackets, we have written the items, classics, tragedy, etc. Let's go through the characteristics of lists. First is it's a non-primitive data. What do you mean by a non-primitive data? It's basically a data which is created by the programmer. Okay, this data type is created by the programmer, and it is not an inbuilt data type. And it has to have a collection of items. And these items which are present in the list can be of any data type. That is, they can be both primitive and non-primitive data types. We'll see with examples what these characteristics mean. So first, let's see what are these primitive data types. So the primitive data types are numbers like integers, floats, and complex numbers, booleans like bool, and strings. And non-primitive data types are lists, tuples, dictionary, and sets. So what we have seen so far is a list is a non-primitive data type, but it can be composed of primitive and non-primitive data types. The list is such that there has to be a definite ordering. So what do you mean by a definite ordering? Let's look at this example: book name, Cinder, Winter, Lore, and Cinder again. So here it is definite ordering in the sense Cinder is the first item, Winter is the second item, Lore is the third item, and Cinder again is the fourth item. Please note that a list can have duplicates. A list is always characterized by indices. For example, in this case, we have something called an index representing every element in the list. Cinder is at the index 0, Winter at the index 1, Lore at the index 2, and again Cinder at the index 3. If you want to access an individual item, you have to access the item only using an index. And also note that the indices vary from 0 to n-1. The next major characteristic of a list is that it is a mutable data type. What do we mean by that? If you look at the example, first I have given book name to consist of 4 items: Cinder, Winter, Lore, and Cinder. But then it is possible for me to change the items in the variable by giving again book name is equal to Cinder, Winter. These type of data types in which it is possible to change the items in a data type are called mutable data types. Now, how shall we print an entire list? A very simple syntax: print followed by the variable name. Print is a built-in method, and of course we give the variable name. This is given as an example here, where we just give print followed by the variable name book underscore types. So have you understood so far? Shall we check it out with an example? Now that you have seen how to create a list, I want you to open your source code editor and then create a list with the following items. And then I want you to print the contents of the list. First problem is to create a list with the following items. And let me call this list as book ID and make it equal to the items in the list. So for which I give a square bracket and write all the items here. And I can print the items in the list, the entire list as such, using a print command. Now, what should be the data type of the elements which are found in the list? We already saw that it is a collection of items which can have both primitive and non-primitive data. So that being the case, here in the first case, we took a string of items in a list. In the example that we just did, we took a list of integers. It's also possible to have a list of non-primitive data items. The first example, I have book types. This has 3 items. The first item is the list classics, 101.1. The second item is the list tragedy, 102. And the third item is the list sci-fi, 103. So book types is a list which is composed of 3 other lists. So we call this as a list of lists. Just like we can have a list of lists, I can also have a list of tuples. So here in this list, every single element is a tuple. Similarly, we can have a list of dictionaries, where every single item in the list is a dictionary. Lists with multiple data types. Now, what is the number of items in this list? If you said 4, it is right. So first, it's an integer. That's the first item. The second item is a list. The third item is a string. And the fourth item is a tuple. So we have created a list with multiple data types. How do we find the number of elements in a list? We use a function called the len. Len returns the number of elements in the list. It's a built-in method. And we need to pass the name of the list as the parameter. This is shown using the example. Book name is the name of the list. To find the number of elements in the list, we pass through len the name of the list, which is book name. And since it returns the number of elements, we print it onto the screen using the print function. Now that we have a fair understanding of how to create lists, let's look at another example. The example here shows a table, and we have to create a list from this table. Shall we see this with the help of a notebook? We need to create a list for the following details of students. As a first step, let's create a list for the serial number as is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. And then write print SNO. a little beyond the scope of our video, but a simpler way in which you can actually do this is you can use the list constructor and use the range function to get the values from 1 to 4. Let me try and print the serial number. You get the same result. So just like this, I can also create a list for name, which is equal to Anu, comma, Alice. Okay. And then a string Bob, and then a string Ken. All these are strings, and so I give them within single quotes. Similarly, I create list for age and score. Let me also show how to create a list for languages. Languages is equal to. Now the major difference between this column and the remaining columns is each has more than one element in it. So I can create a tuple or I can create a list. Let me create a tuple. So the first tuple representing the first element is Python and Java. Please note the entire thing is inside one tuple. For C and C++, I create another tuple where this tuple has two elements, C and C++. I create another tuple for the third element and another tuple for the fourth element. I can print all the values, name, age, score, languages, and you can see that we have created multiple lists where each list represents a column. But I want a list to represent the entire table. So a simple way to do it is student is equal to a list with the serial number, name, age, score, and languages. So this is one single list called a student composed of many lists. What do you think will be the output? You will have the same. I think I've made a mistake in the spelling here. Languages. You will have the same effect as the previous statement, except that I have combined every single list into one single list. But here, if you see, I have ordered my list column by column. But I'm sure that in most of the cases, we want it to come row by row. So another way to probably do this is, here I wanted row by row. So I create a tuple or a list for the first row. The first row is 1, comma, the person Anu, comma, and then the age 29, comma, then the score 500.25, followed by the languages, which is Python and Java. Okay. So this is one tuple to represent the first row. Now, similarly, I can create another tuple to represent the second column. Like this, I can create multiple tuples where each tuple represents a row. And please note that there is no comma for the last element that you have added. Proceeding in this manner, we get So I can write the third row as another tuple and the fourth row as the last tuple. Now let me try and print student. I have made a mistake here. I have to have given it within single quotes. Okay. So this gives me the result as each row by row, I have it as a separate tuple. So it is a list of tuples where each tuple represents a row. Is there a better way of writing it? There is a better way of writing it. So though it's a little outside the scope of this video, where I can use a function called as zip, where zip can take the first element from serial number, the first element from name, first element from age, first element from score and languages, and then the second element, and then the third element, and so on, and form a list. Let's see what effect it has. Please see that writing it in this manner and writing in this manner are going to give us the same result. So now at the end of this video, you should be knowing how to create a list and what all elements can go in a list, how to print an entire list, and also how to find the length of the list. Shall we also try and find the length of this list? What answer are you expecting? The value 4. Thank you for watching this video on how to create lists. At the end, you should be able to now write your own list and create it and print it and find its length. If you want to look at the code, you can look at the code in our GitHub link given in the description section. Thank you.